Hello and welcome to another video tutorial for Taz McCarthy on internet and web development. This is the third video in a sequence explaining how to build the shopping cart feature from HTML, CSS and JavaScript. When we left off in the last video, we had a JavaScript array with our item codes, item name and price, and we put a JavaScript function inline the page to use the document write command to print out table rows one by one. So obviously for our shopping cart to work, we need to be able to select things, put in a quantity and then calculate some sort of receipt for the user, and we've left this side open for that. So back into gedit, a couple of small changes that we've made. Up in the menu top we've got simple links. So A is the link element, and we have a href. Home is index.html, and then the two other pages that you have to do are about.html and contact.html. Those are going to be really simple pages to do. For the about and contact, you're more or less making up information about your company and why they're selling what they're selling, maybe a location, a fake phone number, email addresses, things like that. They're not going to contain any JavaScripting, they're just going to be static pages, and you should be able to, when you make those, copy all of this upper stuff before the scripting starts, and then copy this lower section from here into a new document and then save it as about.html, contact about.html, and just type in whatever text inside paragraphs in between to populate those pages. So they should be really straightforward. What we're more interested in for this video is getting some of our other functions to work, such as the selecting all, the clearing all, and then calculating over to this side. So what I've done is I've simplified the buttons here. We've got only 3 buttons. We're going to select everything, which is going to tick every box and change the quantity to 1 for every item. We're going to clear all, which does the opposite, unchecks everything, changes the quantity to 0, and the last thing we're going to do is to calculate. So we'll select everything, we'll click calculate, and it's just going to generate another table on the other side with the quantity times the price and then a total price for all of this. Okay, so to our main.js file, which is where everything new is going to happen. First thing we have is a very short function here called update quantity, and we pass one argument called ID. Now back on our index file, when we wrote this, we had an on click for our first checkbox where we run this exact function, update quantity, and then inside there we get it to run X, and that's for our for loop. So whatever the index is for the loop at the time, it's going to put it here. So back on our page, if we inspect that, it actually outputs to the page as update quantity 0, and then this one here, update quantity 3. So it's passing that number to the function. So when the function receives it, it's getting a number in here. So the first thing we do is select that row by its ID, because if you remember, as we got it to output all of this, each TR, each table row, we gave a unique ID, so now we can select it using that. So the first thing we do is we make a variable called target row, and we select that row. So row number 0, row number 3, whichever one it is that we've clicked in. Next thing we do is to select the quantity box, which is this one or this one, depending on the row that we've clicked. So inside the target row, instead of document, we're not searching the whole document, we're searching this variable, which is that TR. We get all the elements by the tag name input. Now, for instance, if we clicked this row, number 1, it's going to find 2 inputs, the checkbox and then the text input here. And as soon as we do that get elements by tag name, it's going to generate an array, and there's two of them, so remember it starts at 0, so 0 will be this one, 1 will be this one. So to select the second one, it's just a matter of putting inside the square brackets 1. So on this row we select the input box, the text input. Now we do a simple check. If the value of that is 0, as in they don't have any selected, it changes that to 1. Otherwise it changes it to 0. So let's test that here. We tick because it was 0, it changes it to 1. We untick it because it was 1, it changes it to 0. So you can see that this works for any of these. It just toggles them on and off. A really simple function. The next function we have is the select all function. So we have a simple button back on our page, button, on click, a function called select all. No arguments. And we come down here. First thing we do is we select the left hand side of the page, because back on our HTML we had a div container that we put this all inside, which was table container left. So we select that first. The next thing we do is search inside that left side container for all of the inputs, just the same as we did up here, and that generates an array called inputs. Now we use a for loop to go through each one, starting from the first one, going to the end, going up by 1. And we check each one at a time. We tell it, if that current input type is a text input, then make the value 1. Otherwise, if it's not a text input, then it must be a checkbook box. So therefore we tell it to change the checked value to true. So it's going to go through row by row. It's going to say, it's going to check these one by one. It's going to get to here. It's going to say, is this a text field? And it's going to be false for this one. So it's going to change it to ticked. And then it's going to come to this one and say, is this a text field? Yes. So it's going to change it to 1. It's simply going to loop through all of those one by one. Our next one does the opposite, which is clear all, which means when we're writing the function, it's a simple matter of selecting all of that, copying it in, and then making some minor changes. The first 2 rows and the first 3 rows, actually most of it is exactly the same. All we're changing is whether it changes it to 0, because we're selecting none, so we want the quantity to be 0. And before, as it was going through and changing each checkbox to true, we're now changing each one to false. Apart from those 2 parts there, these 2 functions are exactly the same. So effectively, once we've written one, the second one's written for us, we just got to change it to the reverse values. So let's see how that works one more time. When we go select all, it firstly selects the div holding all of this, and then it selects an array of all the inputs, which there's 2 per line. For each one, it checks whether it's a text box or a checkbox. If it's a checkbox for select all, it'll tick each one. If it's a text box, it'll change each one to 1. For the clear all, as it goes through the array of inputs, if it's a checkbox, it'll untick it, and if the quantity was not 0, it'll change it to 0. 2 fairly simple functions.